We talked previously about the nation's leaderboard for new lease rent growth. Today, we look at the leaderboard for renewal lease rent growth. How much more are renters paying to stay put in the same units? Welcome to Apartment Market Dynamics from NPF Research. I'm Jay Parsons. Thank you for joining us today. First, let's set the stage. Traditionally, when the apartment industry talks about rent growth, we're talking about sticker prices for new leases, which is basically just asking rents for new leases minus asking concessions. But renewals generally comprise half the rent roll for an apartment property, so renewal rents are equally critical to the success of an apartment property. But traditionally, we've had no insight into renewal pricing because you don't advertise or publish those prices anywhere. You send them to the tenant and then they impact your rent roll. Now, NPF Research has access to nearly 10 million units of lease transactional data from units serviced by RealPage products, and so from that we could see a whole lot more metrics than we traditionally have had access to, including renewals. Now, nationally, let's look at some numbers. Renewal rent growth, just like new lease rent growth, is at the highest level seen in this cycle. As of June, rents are up 5.2%, and that means renters paid, on average, 5.2% more than they did previously to stay in the exact same units. And as you can see, that's a bump from what we had seen previously. Renewal rent growth had tracked fairly consistently in the mid-4s since early 2011. So where are renters paying the highest rent bumps to stay in their units? Well, not surprisingly, this leaderboard looks a lot like the leaderboard we've shown you previously for new lease rent growth. The top 5 has the same markets on the list, they just move around a little bit. Oakland and Portland are 1 and 2 with renewal rent growth of 8.6 and 8.2% respectively. That's true in the new lease rent growth list as well. But on the renewal ranking, San Jose jumps a couple of spots to tie Portland for number 2. San Francisco is number 4 at 8.1%, followed by Denver down a couple spots at 7.5%. The next 5 are slightly different. Seattle and Sacramento rank 6th and 7th in both lists at 7.4 and 6.5% respectively for renewal rent growth, but some changes from there. Atlanta and Phoenix both leapfrog San Diego with renewal rent growth of 6.4%, and they're followed by West Palm Beach, which jumps into the top 10 at 6.1%. San Diego, meanwhile, ranked 8th for new lease rent growth, but falls all the way down to 19th for renewal rent growth. And outside the top 10, we have another 10 markets with renewal rent growth between 5% and 6% in June, and that list includes the Riverside, San Bernardino area, Nashville, Orange County, Los Angeles, Raleigh-Durham, Houston, Orlando, Dallas, San Diego, and Los Angeles. And key differences to focus on between the new lease rent growth list and the renewal rent growth list are the high demand, high supply markets in Texas, the Carolinas, as well as Nashville. Most notably, Raleigh-Durham jumps 10 spots between the two lists, and Nashville jumps 7 spots, both of them jumping higher in the renewal leaderboard. Similar story in Houston, Dallas, and Austin. And that's significant because it reflects that a lot of these property owners are seeing that they're not losing many renters to all this new supply going in. The retention rates remain healthy, and that's inspiring them to push rents more on renewal leases. And that same story is playing out not only in those spots, but in many other markets across the country. In June, 50.2% of renters with expiring leases chose to stay put and renew. That's a bit higher than normal for a June period, although it is down slightly year over year. And that year-over-year decline was only the 3rd time in the last 36 months we have seen a year-over-year decline. So we're going to keep an eye on that going forward, but overall we've seen much higher renewal retention rates than the pre-recession averages, just in spite of all the rent growth we've seen so far in this market, in this cycle I should say, and in spite of all the available new supply that have come online in the last few years. So certainly something to keep an eye on going forward. And that's going to wrap us up for Apartment Market Dynamics from NPF Research. I'm Jay Parsons. Thank you for watching.
Want more? Go deeper with NPF Research's apartment market reports. From a national level, down to individual metros, to specific neighborhoods, NPF Research has been providing unparalleled apartment market intelligence to the multifamily industry for almost 5 decades. Learn more by contacting us at 877-284-4938 or visit www.npfresearch.com and click on Market Reports.